in hijab. She works with me at TGA. And what she says is that I am wheeled all the time, but my thoughts are unwheeled. She is an avid writer and prolific writer on all society issues. So it's my pleasure, and please join me in welcoming Amne Alrifai.
Thank you, Mohammed, and all the organisers. For those who don't know Mohammed too well, he's a very stubborn man with very stubborn principles, so when he says you're speaking, I'm speaking. Before I begin, I'd like to pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the land and animal people, and pay my respect to elders both past and present. I come to you, I guess, as a child of the post 9/11 era. 9/11 happened when I was in Year 4, so I spent a lot of my life questioning who and what I was. I was taught by the media that I was a terrorist, that everyone I knew was a terrorist, and all those that I loved were terrorists. It's taken a very long time for me to accept that that's not the reality, and that really isn't the reality for a majority of the world. My father as well, I'd love to say that I could adopt all of his wisdom, but he taught us as children that we didn't actually have differences in religion, so I didn't realise I was Muslim until the media told me I was Muslim. I just assumed we all were the same. It's now in the later years of my life that I realise that we really are just the same people. As a blogger and as a social commentator, I have a very privileged position where people feel that they can tell me their stories, and I've heard some very terrible stories of people's experiences. But that's not what I want to share with you today, because I don't think that's what this event is about. What I want to share with you are the amazing experiences of interfaith harmony that are out there that the media like to dismiss. I guess before I say that, it's interesting that last night a report came out that showed that the Australian population thinks that Muslims make up 18% of the population. We only make up 2%. So, the way that the media, I suppose, likes to show us off a little bit. But just after the anti-terrorism raids that happened, a lot of Muslims were terrified of what was happening. Wider community was terrified of what was happening. But one very amazing thing happened. The following day, the Friday, and all over Sydney, representatives from the police, representatives from the government went to the mosques and explained exactly what was happening. They explained why these raids had to happen, and they explained that the Muslim community was not a target. Never in my life have I seen something like that happening, and it's a sign of us progressing. And I think, coming as the last speaker, it's important to highlight that yes, we may not have the most harmonious of histories, especially recently, but we are moving in a direction where we are finally coming together and understanding that our differences aren't really that huge. We're very similar, and as Mohammed says, and as a scientist, we're actually quite unique. And one thought that I like to bring up is the fact that we are essentially atoms floating in a universe filled with atoms that somehow manage to come together and be sentient and to be mindful of themselves. So remember that we're just all a bunch of atoms floating around, doing our thing, and we finally learn to do it together as opposed to try and fight each other. I think we're going to be moving to a much more beautiful place. And as the others have said, it's great that we're all here, but it's even better that you can pass on these messages of love and respect and peace and harmony within your communities. And that's what I welcome, a future where we can finally sit there together and just eat delicious food and love one another. So that's what the hope is for the future, and I thank you all for being here, and I thank the organisers.
The last speaker, thank you very much for being positive. Many people will